Welcome to today's explainer. We're jumping right into something so many of you have asked about, a complete, incredibly helpful guide to navigating the vibrant Chicago ballroom community. Specifically, we're focusing on finding your footing on the dance floor and, crucially, finding a dance partner. If you've been wanting to glide across the hardwood but felt like you were missing that one vital puzzle piece, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's get into it. So, the big question. How do you actually find a dance partner in Chicago? If you're feeling a bit intimidated about breaking into the local scene solo, honestly, you are definitely not alone. But here's the best part. The solution is so much simpler than you might think. Spoiler alert, no classified ads required. A lot of folks assume you need to walk through the door with the partner already holding your hand, but the roadmap we're unpacking today completely debunks that myth. To get you ready for your first big night out, we're going to follow this roadmap. We'll start with the Chicago ballroom scene, move into joining local studio classes, check out socials and practice nights, explore clubs and calendars, and finally, wrap up with how to ace your first meetup. All right, part 1, the Chicago ballroom scene. The very first thing we need to understand is that Chicago is literally packed with steady, ongoing opportunities to learn, practice, and connect. Seriously, meeting other dancers is often as simple as just showing up to the right class or social night. Whether you're a brand new beginner stepping onto the floor for the literal first time, or you're dusting off your shoes after a long break, your absolute best shortcut into the community is simply knowing where to physically be. The city studios and event calendars are basically working overtime to create these exact opportunities for us. Moving on to part 2, joining local studio classes. Now, if you want the absolute fastest way to meet actively training dancers, you need to look out for some specific jargon when you're searching online. Keep your eyes peeled for terms like beginner, foundation, or open level. Why do these exact words matter so much? Well, they're dead giveaways that a class is built for social learning. That means everybody shares the same schedule, learns the same common routines, and here's the kicker. You rotate partners, so you don't need to bring someone with you because the class structure itself is literally handing you a new partner every few minutes. And here's a massive pro tip from our source material. Try to find a studio that offers both structured lessons and a social component right afterward, so you don't lose your momentum. It's one thing to learn a box step in a highly controlled, quiet class, right? But transitioning from that class time into a real, lively dance environment, that is where the magic actually happens. Studios that host their own practice sessions right after class make that transition completely seamless. That brings us to part 3, socials and practice nights. Okay, let's decode a term that tends to cause a lot of newcomer stress, the ballroom social. Take a deep breath, because a social is just an event where dancers show up to, well, dance, rather than audition or compete. This definition is so reassuring. It means these nights are specifically designed with enough structure, recognizable rhythms, and mixed skill levels that you can jump right in without feeling lost or judged. And even if partner availability seems a little uncertain when you walk in, our source notes that these socials still work beautifully for newcomers. Just arrive early and ask the staff how their partner rotation works. On to part 4, exploring clubs and calendars. So what if you're looking to level up your technique? There's actually a pretty big difference between your venue options here. On one hand, you've got group classes. These are all about social learning, they're super beginner-friendly, and they focus on building your foundation. On the other hand, you have competition clubs. These offer a deeply established culture for technique-driven practice. Now, even if you have zero plans to ever actually compete, these clubs often welcome guests who just want to surround themselves with other dancers who care deeply about improvement and established etiquette. If you really want to fast-track your skills, tapping into these clubs is a game changer. The benefits include extra practice sessions, video review, and milestone workshops. You might find a whole session dedicated purely to footwork refinement, or maybe a deep dive into frame and lead and follow mechanics. It is an absolutely fantastic way to immerse yourself and meet some highly dedicated partners. But hey, you aren't just limited to a single studio or club. Beyond those specific spots, community calendars are really the connective tissue of the wider Chicago dance scene. They bridge the gaps across all the different neighborhoods and expose you to a massive pool of potential dance partners by highlighting one-off opportunities, themed nights, and special guest instructors. It's like a giant citywide menu of dance events. When you're scrolling through those community boards, these 4 phrases are your absolute golden signals: beginner-friendly, partner rotation, open level, and no experience required. When you see those exact words, you can confidently walk through the door knowing that the environment was specifically engineered for someone exactly like you to easily meet people and switch partners. And finally, part 5, acing your first meetup. Let's be totally honest for a second. Your first visit to any established community can feel just a little bit awkward, right? To totally bypass that, our source gives us 4 incredibly simple steps. Step 1, and I cannot stress this enough, bring comfortable shoes you can actually move in. Your feet will absolutely thank you later. Step 2, arrive a few minutes early so you can get the lay of the land before the room gets loud and crowded. Step 3, don't be afraid to introduce yourself as a learner. And step 4, definitely use those breaks after class to chat. That is exactly where you're going to learn about the upcoming socials and how people match up for dances. Now, when the music actually starts and the partner rotation kicks off, here is your magic script. Just say, I am practicing my basics. That's it. Confidently use that exact phrase. Our source emphasizes that most ballroom dancers totally expect different comfort levels, and they will gladly help you find the safest, easiest entry point into the dance. Just stating where you're at takes all the pressure right off. So how does all of this translate into long-term success? Well, as the source points out, showing up regularly is the shortcut to finding steady dance partners and new friends. It really is just that straightforward. By consistently attending a class one week and a social the next, you are quickly going to develop familiarity with the floor, the music, and the people. That repetition is exactly what transforms a room full of intimidating strangers into a really welcoming community of friends. So, now that you've got the complete roadmap to decode the local dance community, the only thing left is for you to take that very first step. Which venue are you going to choose as your shortcut into the Chicago ballroom scene this week? Are you going to stick to the safety of an open-level class? Or are you feeling brave enough to hit up a beginner-friendly social? The music is playing, the floor is yours. What's your next move going to be? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and happy dancing.